one of the most stunning cities on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the nation's capital. There are many things to do in London, which is a fantastic city rich in culture and history with some sites that are truly world famous. Even though this movie will be rather lengthy, it will provide you with all the information you require to have the time of your life in London. There are 3 key places in London that you'll undoubtedly want to explore if you're short on time, and generally, Westminster, the West End, and City of London. These are the 3 locations I want you to sort of concentrate on because most of the well-known attractions you've heard of are located in one of them. I suppose I should begin by explaining how to travel the area and use the famous underground system, the Tube network. The Tube map may appear to be quite confusing, but I can guarantee you that once you enter an underground station, it is actually very simple to use. There are plenty of signs, and it would take a lot of effort to become lost. If you utilize the London buses and the London boats together, you can go across the city in a matter of minutes. One of London's more well-known neighborhoods. I should probably start by telling you about this significant event in Westminster, the Elizabeth Tower. Although it is officially known as the Elizabeth Tower, most people just refer to it as Big Ben. Big Ben really refers to the bell inside the clock tower rather than the actual clock tower, so it's a bit of a misnomer. One of the most recognizable images of London, and when you've seen pictures or movies of it, it resembles this very closely. When I got there, though, it appeared more like this, heavily under construction. It is now being renovated and would be finished for quite a few years. Hopefully it will look much better when you visit London. The Houses of Parliament. Following Big Ben are, believe it or not, this is where government actually resides and conducts business, and you are welcome to visit. You can go to Parliament when it's in session. That much is true. Simply line up, and if there is space in the gallery, someone will security check you so you may watch the events. If you can put up with all the *tea that happens here, that is. There are plenty of excellent photo options in and around Westminster, so it's acceptable if you don't want to go inside. Westminster Abbey. In close proximity to Westminster, this is the well-known cathedral where coronations and royal marriages take place. It is a breathtaking building to visit. I strongly urge you to visit Westminster Abbey. St. Paul's Cathedral. One of the most well-known churches in all of London is St. Paul's, which you have probably seen numerous times on television and in movies. It's pretty amazing on the inside and highly recommend. London Eye. It's a big giant Ferris wheel, and they are pretty much in every major city nowadays, but it's still nice to go around. London Dungeons. It's pretty scary but cool at the same time, and it's also a nice place to chill out with a cold beverage overlooking the River Thames and nearby Westminster Abbey. Buckingham Palace. This is the Queen's official home, though she doesn't actually consider this her home. She considers Windsor Castle her home, but point beside, this is officially where she resides most of the time. You have to book way in advance, and is pretty expensive, so most tourists generally hang around the gate and take pictures of the palace and the monument in front of it. The City of London. Originally, the City of London is this 1 square mile bit of the city. It's part of the old Roman city of Londinium that used to stand there, merged into the larger City of London during this time. It is now a massive, enormous financial and business district, one of the most influential in the entire world. Admittedly, the actual City of London itself isn't that interesting. Yes, it's got a few nice buildings. However, the primary 2 locations you must see when in the City of London are Tower Bridge. This is one of the most. This bridge, when first opened, wobbled like crazy, is now incredibly stable, and it provides you some excellent photo opportunities. Oxford Street, the longest shopping street in London. The West End, the theater district. There are lots of traditional theaters around here where you can take in a musical or a show. The best food in the city is right here in the West End where we are. Everything from affordable Asian street food to expensive restaurants may be found. These are the main areas that I think you should explore whilst you're in London. If you've only got a short time, you could do 1 area per day and see most of what London has to offer in 2 or 3 days. But if you've got more time, and you're willing to travel a bit further, there are some very interesting places. Let's start with West London and Hyde Park. This is the largest green space here in London. It's a lovely park to kind of get away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Right on the side of Hyde Park, the Royal Albert Hall, the most famous music venue here in London. It's home to the last night of the proms, and if you do manage to catch a prom show, I highly recommend it. Kensington and Chelsea, the richest and most exclusive area of London, and nothing screams fancy and decadence. Kensington Palace, which is definitely worth a look. Harrods, the famous department store. If you want to see celebrities do their shopping, this is a place to go because, quite frankly, it's expensive here. The Science Museum, the Victoria and Albert Museum, Natural History Museum, it's free of charge to enter. If museums are your thing, you also need to check out the north side of the city. Madame Tussauds is famously on Baker Street, and this is the original Madame Tussauds that actually opened. There are Madame Tussauds everywhere in the world these days, but this is the original and best. Because it's on Baker Street, it's also home to the Sherlock Holmes Museum, so if you go to Sherlock Holmes' house at 221B Baker Street, you'll find the Sherlock Holmes Museum. London Zoo. So if you want to see some animals, go to Regent's Park. The British Museum, the most stunning roof that you'll ever see. And the museum itself, pretty damn good, and once again, it's free of charge to go into. Tate Modern, if you do like modern art. The Tate Modern is located in the south side of the city on the South Bank. But what else is that to do? If you're willing to travel a little bit further, there's the Aqua Arena, which is formerly known as the Millennium Dome. This is the modern concert venue that's in the city, and you can take in concerts, basketball games, ice hockey here. Visit Canary Wharf, which is an ultra-modern financial district. Admittedly, it's kind of like Dubai, but British and crappy weather. The area of Greenwich. This is home to the famous Royal Greenwich Observatory, and this is where time begins. Seriously, I'm not joking. All time is based off Greenwich Mean Time, GMT, which is this line here on the meridian. Greenwich can be a pain in the backside to get to using the tube system, so I highly recommend using the boats instead. Now you can actually use the boats just like you use the tube system. To use the boats, it's dead easy. All you have to do is scan in just like you would on a tube. Get on the boat, enjoy a lovely boat ride. The Queen's House. The Queen's House isn't actually the Queen's house. It's actually an art gallery, nothing to do with the Queen. National Maritime Museum, which is quite interesting. If you like the sea, or navy, or boats, the National Maritime Museum is quite interesting. The Cutty Sark. London's most famous boat is moored permanently on land. This was the fastest tea clipper in the world, and was so important to the tea trade with China. Now you can actually use the boats. Camden Town. It's famous for its world-famous Camden Market, one of the traditional marketplaces of the city. It's now home to a whole plethora of different things that you can look, taste, and buy. Windsor. Windsor is a town that's 23 miles west of London. It's a quaint little traditional town, but it's home to Windsor Castle, the place that the Queen actually calls home. Once again, London is a place that you won't find boring. It's a multicultural, diverse city that has some very interesting things every step of the way.